one of the issues that we have in using a traditional comps table is that they are of relatively small samples, 20, 30 at most. As a result of that, if you look at the statistics, they tend to be not terribly accurate. So, for example, if you look at the average here is 110 billion with a standard deviation of 127 billion, which will take it to zero or negative on the one end. If you look at PE ratios, the average PE ratio is 36, but the standard deviations are 60, which is twice the PE ratio. So time and again, you'll see that the standard deviation, which is the variability of the sample size, overwhelms the average. So it makes the average not terribly reliable. The other thing that that is problematic with comps table like this is that they are manually constructed, and you can cherry pick companies, and you can, as a result of cherry picking, you can manipulate the averages to go up and down in whichever direction you wish to. So at C-Suite, we thought about an alternative way of creating statistics of different metrics. And this is where our second page of analysis, that is the concept of using benchmark categories. So benchmark categories are comp sets on steroids. They are determined by the intersection of countries, industries, SIC code, any combination of those. And once you have set those filters, you have no choice but to accept the data that C-Suite pulls from Capital IQ for companies that match that. So there's no cherry picking going on. The data sets tend to be quite large. So in this particular case, we're looking at companies which are in the pharmaceutical SIC sector, pharmaceutical preparations SIC sector globally, and then 994 companies. So it's far larger than the comparable list of companies we saw in the earlier chart. This is the distribution of the companies, of the 994 companies which C-Suite creates. You can see the median of this data set is quite low. It's between 440,000 to 168 million, whereas the giants like Merck and Pfizer would be on the far right here. So again, Pfizer is always in red, and the median is always the green bar, the rest of it is blue. In these charts, you can click on any bar and drill into the companies. So this would be the companies, the 50 companies, and that final bar now with its own frequency distribution. And you can scroll down to see specifically the companies which appear in that group of 50. And you can find information about them by clicking on the names and so on. You'll see financial information being displayed on these companies right here as well. So it's a powerful way to explore an industry, explore segments of an industry that you're not familiar with. So what C-Suite does with this large data set is to then run exploratory data analysis, which is a statistical technique to look at the data set, look at the averages, look at the standard deviation, and C-Suite writes bullet points to summarize the position of your focus company, or Pfizer here, in this sector. So you can see it will describe the fact that Pfizer's total revenues is the maximum among this group globally. It's the best in class. And for one of the most interesting statistics that you'll find here is the comparison of Pfizer's revenue growth rate over the last 12 months, which is 23%, versus C-Suite's flash estimate of how the industry grew, of 4.35%. So you can see Pfizer grew much faster than the entire industry did. So again, opening up the side menu, I would like to look at a different metric, let's say instead of total revenues, I would like to look at net income. So I search for net income here. Here we go, net income, select it. And what C-Suite is doing now is reforming the entire page, including the bullet points, doing the analysis on the net income of these 900 odd companies, running the exploratory data analysis and comparing Pfizer's net income to this cohort. So here you can see a summary in the key messages of the range of numbers. This is a different distribution, as you can see, of net income of these 994 companies. This is the cumulative distribution. And over here, you'll see that the sentences have been rewritten to reflect the fact that we're now analyzing revenues. Net income. Pfizer's net income is also the maximum achieved among this sector globally. So these sentences are automatically rewritten according to the statistic that you're looking at. In addition to changing the metric that you analyze, you can also change the benchmark category, which is the list of companies that you'll benchmark against. So over here you can see that currently we were benchmarking Pfizer against pharmaceutical preparations sector globally. So that's 900 over companies globally. Click on this, you'll see all the other options available. Let's just, for example, change it to just companies in the pharmaceutical preparations sector in the US. So just against Pfizer's domestic comparable companies. Click on this. We've now successfully changed it, and the screen is going to reform and reanalyze with the new benchmark. So scrolling down, you'll see that the number of companies has changed from over 900 companies to just the 173 companies that are listed in the US. You see the distribution has changed. You can again click on this to drill down into the largest 8 companies, which you can see are listed over here. And you'll see the sentence is also rewritten to compare it to this particular sector. So the power of this analysis is the ability to look at the metric in different points of view, depending on whether you think the right point of view is just similar companies in the same country, globally, in the SIC sector, or the industry.